Did you get a reaction from that video? Well, we sure did. The little girl you saw getting searched against her will, obviously, at an airport is the 3-year-old daughter of our own Steve Simon.
Yeah, that incident led Steve to ask the Transportation Security Administration some important questions, and the answers can help all of us, frankly. Steve is here, and it was probably tough on you, but for Mandy, it had to have been frantic.
She was a little bit scared,
Yeah.
but also a little bit cranky as well. She's okay tonight.
She's 3.
Yeah, she's 3 years old. But first, I want to make it very clear, and I understand, I want to let you know that there has to be some sacrifice and some balance when it comes to security at the airport. But when I came home from that trip recently, that balance just didn't feel right. Let's face it, kids, airports, and security can be a tough mix.
It's a big pain in the butt.
And last month at the airport in Chattanooga, Tennessee, my 3-year-old daughter, Mandy, went from this happy little girl to this during an ordeal through security. My cell phone has about 17 seconds of this. Here, a TSA employee we've decided not to show is patting down Mandy while my wife holds her. First, they tried a handheld metal detector. Mandy was not in the mood. And the TSA employee, well, in my opinion, did not know how to communicate to her. All of this started after Mandy's teddy bear was taken away for screening through the X-ray. And that started the crying, which meant Mandy had a tough time going through one of those metal detectors. It also meant the alarm went off twice. And TSA officials tell me when that alarm goes off twice, everyone, no matter how old you are, must be hand searched. But did it have to be like this? Is there a better way?
In reality, what we as an agency should be doing, or employees, is looking at that child with a little bit of difference in how we handle the child.
James Marchand with the TSA would not comment specifically on the cell phone video, but he says some TSA screeners should follow some advice.
You try to make it as best you can for that child to come through. You ask the child to put their arms up in some way, and if you can come up with some kind of game that you're trying to play with the child, then it makes it a lot easier.
A lot easier, perhaps, with more sensitivity training with kids.
Probably it isn't reiterated enough, and it's something that, since you've brought it up here, I will ask my training department to look into and put it back into the training again.
While you wait for that, there is a little-known thing you can do to help you and your kids through security. Next time you fly, ask the ticket desk if your child, under 12 years old, was randomly selected to be screened with a pat-down or handheld metal detector. If a code is on your child's boarding pass, ask to be deselected, which could mean no search like this.
Hello everyone, welcome to Global Government News. Today is Tuesday, November 23rd, 2010, and I am Darko. Welcome to this news bulletin. I'm going to cover Big Brother, the war on terror, liberty, sovereignty, a little bit of eugenics, and a little bit of just general news. I'm going to try to squeeze it into one video, but it looks like it's going to be 2 videos. So either way, thank you for joining me. New listeners or new viewers, please check out my website, www.ggnonline.com, ggnonline.com. All right, so you just saw that video, and that was sent to me by Charles or Hatch, and I appreciate you sending me that. I didn't see it until you send it, so it's just pretty horrific video right there. And I left in a comment of the linked video that I was sent, basically saying, giving my little take on it, and obviously the guy that was covering it, the broadcaster, the journalist, the father, he's got to have some kind of impartiality or, with it, because it's his family involved. But I still, it's like, it just sucks that you have to be in that position and just take it, take it like a good little slave and say, well, there's got to be a good little balance, and there isn't a good balance. There just is or there isn't. You either have privacy or you don't. So it's best just to say, no, there isn't a good balance. You just take it. Otherwise, you get rid of the TSA, or people just wake up and realize that terrorism is a business, just like war, just like everything else, just like cancer. It's a business. So, Yeah, it's just a horrible story. But this is passenger chooses strip down over pat down. When a San Diego man opted out of a security screening using an advanced imaging technology AIT at Lindbergh Field Friday, he stripped down to his underwear in an attempt to avoid the pat down procedures. Samuel Wallinek took the protest started November 13th by Oceanside's John Tyner to a whole new level. While Tyner videotaped his refusal to be patted down, telling the agent, "If you touch my junk, I'll have you arrested," Wallinek decided to give the TSA a look at his body down to his Calvin Kleins. So it says, through a statement released by his attorney Sunday night, Wallinek said, quote, "The TSA needs to see that I'm not carrying any weapons, explosives, or other prohibited substances. I refuse to have images of my naked body viewed by perfect strangers and having been felt up for the first time. TSA the week prior, I travel frequently. I was not willing to be molested again." So, yeah, and it's important to do it publicly, just, if you're going to do it, there's certain ways you can protest. You can not fly for a little while and see if the airlines, get hurt by this financially, and then they'll have to tell the government and the TSA to back off a little bit, and they'll come back again in time. But the best thing is to do it publicly, so everybody can see how demoralizing and humiliating it really is. So. This one says TSA chief warns against boycott of airport scans. The nation's airport security chief pleaded with Thanksgiving travelers for understanding and urged them not to boycott full body scans on Wednesday, lest their protests snarl what is already one of the busiest, most stressful flying days of the year. So like I mentioned in my Big Brother series, this is your fault now. TSA chief resisting scanners just means delays, so pretty much more of the same. Airport security protests likely to bog down traveler. It's all over the news, so you can pretty much see that it's coming from the same person. This TSA administrator, all clear on bypassing airport security again. This is an opt-out or opt-in program that charges airline passengers to bypass airport security lines is being resuscitated more than 2 years after its abrupt shutdown. The CLEAR program relaunched in Orlando last week and is preparing to start up in Denver. It says here, after submitting fingerprints and iris scans, members are issued a CLEAR card with these biometric data. Kiosks at participating airports then allow them to confirm their identity and speed through security. And, I've mentioned this before in other videos about how they use convenience, basically, to win people over, win their trust over with this stuff. As far as giving up their privacy and that, it's more convenient. You get to see the people speeding ahead, kind of like in the iPass lanes where, they're going through a checkpoint. That's what you're doing when you go through those little toll booths. You're going through checkpoints. They got little panels that look inside your vehicle. They have cameras looking at you, and they have the little sound things that can hear inside of your vehicle as well. So they are checkpoints, and they're tracking and tracing where you're going, and you're paying for it. So this next one up is DHS head Chertoff got $350 million contract advising government x-ray scanners would solve problems. And that's pretty much a video. The link will be posted. I recommend you please check that out. It says poll 96% of travelers changing plans due to new airport scanning pat-down procedures. And this one, it says China sends warships to escort ship attack by pirates. So look at that. China sent 3 warships to escort a Chinese cargo ship that had been attacked earlier by pirates in the Arabian Sea near Oman. The China Maritime Search and Rescue Center said Sunday. So, the first thing I thought was this is the 22nd, and then boom, you got the 23rd. Korea gets attacked. So I think it had more to do with that. They were sending warships out to protect their area. And so if you want to know my opinion about the whole North Korea thing, that's how I feel about it. It not only increases the value of the dollar, gold, oil, but basically what we're looking at here is you have Clinton, the Secretary of State, who's been basically calling on China to back off and allow the U.S. to either continue trade in the South China Sea or to allow them to have more access, more autonomy. And basically, if you look at it this way, China, pretty much, that's their turf, right? The South China Sea. It's why it's called South China Sea. And so when you have the Western powers in there saying, well, this is our territory, you're going to run into problems. But this is typical Zbig-Brzezinski Trilateral Commission and Count CFR type tactics, right? These are the globalist tactics to pin. If you're a modern country, Western country, or the Chinese or Russians, you don't want to just go and attack somebody because then everyone's going to know who caused it or who's really going to benefit from it. You want to take two countries that have nothing to do with anything, and you want to pin them off against each other, and then you want to go, and the whole time you're going to have one of them, you're going to be funding one of them, and then you're going to have the president is going to be on your payroll, so he's going to be a puppet, and he's going to, kind of like Pakistan, they're going to support whatever you want to do. So this is what we're looking at. It's China, Russia / North Korea, and then the U.S. And Israel and Britain and Europe with South Korea. So, but it says behind the Korea's artillery fire, Kim's succession. So you can go ahead and read this, but they're pretty much going to tell you their bogus reasons for what went down. We're going to check out a video.
South Korea has admitted it fired artillery shells that triggered an early morning clash with North Korea. However, it says it was part of a military drill and denied it was directed at the North. Earlier, Seoul blamed the North for what it called an unprovoked shelling of its island. Pyongyang claimed the South had violated its maritime border during the military drills. Seoul has since threatened its neighbour with what it calls enormous retaliation. Russia's foreign ministry said the clashes were unacceptable and called on both sides to show restraint.
What happened deserves condemnation. We insist that both sides must take measures to pacify the situation and prevent similar action in the future. Unfortunately, this is already the third incident of the kind this year. But this time, there's a colossal danger of the situation descending into military conflict. This must be avoided. Russia has repeatedly warned of the growing tension in the region and is now counting on both sides to arrive at a suitable conclusion.
Well, Pavel Leshakov from the Moscow State University told RT the international community is prejudiced against the North and is ready to blame it for everything with little evidence.
Even if we take the previous case of Cheonan warship, so the conclusion that it was the blame of Northern was taken with not so much evidences. And if we take just the UN statement on this matter, they don't mention exactly North Korea, but still, I think 80% of articles of media is still blaming North Korea for this episode.
So there you go. Yeah, there's a lot of mixing of the facts here that go on in the media. And if you remember last year with the South Korean ship, I believe it was, that got sank, there was actually officials, authorities, and political pundits in South Korea that actually said, hey, they didn't attack us. That was an accident. It was just an old mine and down in the water. We hit it. We weren't attacked. So the other thing too that you need to notice or you should know about is that the U.S. and NATO have been running naval drills for about the past 6 months in that area. So not only has Clinton been running around saying this is our turf in China, and we're going to own this trade route, they have warships and Marines and Navy and Air Force down there and right in that region. And then you had North Korea running drills as well. So there's a lot going on down there that, if you pay attention to all the different news articles that are out there, you kind of get a better picture of what's going on over there. Before we cut to part 2 here for this news bulletin, this is two Koreas blame each other for the attack. South Korea and North Korea have blamed each other for an exchange of artillery fire in the Yellow Sea border island of Yongpyeng. I heard Wayne Manson say earlier today the South Korea's president is very warlike, and it says here that South Korea may strike North Korea's missile base, President Lee. So this is a typical false flag terrorist attack. You act as if you've been attacked, and then you go on the preemptive attack. So please join me in part 2. Thank you.